The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, and around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. My name is John David Wells. On this broadcast, we report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. In other words, we depropagandize the mainstream media. We make commentary. That's not news. That's opinion, yours and mine. And so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. The United States has flexed its military might, along with Great Britain and other nations. This happened in Yemen. It happened yesterday, associated with Iran-backed Houthi rebels who have been firing dozens of drones and missiles into Red Sea shipping lanes. NPR took a look at this particular story last night. This is the report they filed. Check this out. Essentially, we're at war with the Houthis.
The United States and Britain are launching strikes tonight against Houthi targets in Yemen.
The strikes are in response to numerous attacks against shipping vessels in the Red Sea in recent months. Nick Schifrin joins us now for the latest. Nick, so what do we know at this hour about these U.S. strikes?
A U.S. official confirms that more than a dozen strikes have been hit inside Yemen with Tomahawk missiles fired by ships in the Red Sea, as well as jets that were flying off of those ships. The targets include logistical hubs, air defense systems, and weapons storage site. And the weapons storage sites that we're talking about are the weapons that the Houthis have been using in order to attack U.S. ships and commercial ships in the Red Sea. That means drones, ballistic, and cruise missiles. Before this strike, I talked to former military officials who told me that the U.S. does have intelligence that they believe that can degrade Houthi capabilities, degrade the ability for the Houthis to attack these ships, both commercial and military, and even earlier, a few months ago, try and attack Israel. But administration officials told me that they weren't sure that these strikes would actually deter the Houthis from continuing to launch strikes. And so what the U.S. tonight is expecting is a Houthi response and a couple of rounds of back and forth. That was built into this strike tonight, according to U.S. officials I talked to. And so the expectation, again, is that the Houthis will strike back. And this is just the beginning. And earlier today, Abdul Malik al-Houthi, one of the Houthi leaders, said that, hey, look, if you strike us tonight, we're going to strike you harder than we already have.
All right, so that is what the American look at this says. There was an immediate response from the Houthis. This is their spokesperson, apparently that of a Houthi youth group person, a Houthi youth group person. And so let's go ahead. It's got subtitles on it. He's speaking in Arabic. I'll do my best to interpret this for you from a standpoint of just reading the subtitles because I don't speak Arabic. Let's take a look.
نتردد إن شاء الله في فعل كل
We will
ما
not
نستطيع
hesitate to do everything we can.
وسنواجه
Abdul Malik al-Houthi,
العدوان
and
الأمريكي
we will confront American aggression.
أي اعتداء
Any
أمريكي لن
American
يبقى
aggression will
أبدا
never
بدون
remain
رد
without a response.
والرد لن
And the
يكون
response
فقط
will not be only at the level
مستوى
of the recent
العملية
operation
التي نفذت
that targeted
أخيرا
Americans
باستهداف
at sea.
الأمريكيين في البحر بأكثر
With more than 24
24
drones
طائرة
and
مسيرة
several
وعدة
missiles.
صواريخ. الرد أكبر
The
من
response
ذلك
will be greater than that and
وأكثر
more
من ذلك
than that.
ونحن بذلك
And with
أكثر
that,
عزما
we are more determined to
على مواصلة
continue
المشوار
and target
واستهداف
ships linked to
السفن
Israel, and we
المحتملة
will not
بإسرائيل
back down from that.
ولن نتراجع عن
And our
ذلك
position
بقوة
stems
الإيمان.
from our faith.
وعلى الأمريكي أن
The
يعرف
Americans
ماذا
should know
يعني هذا.
what that
نقول
means.
للجميع
We say to
الآسيوية
all
والدول
countries, to Asian
الآسيوية
countries
المصرية
like China and
وغيرها
the others,
ونقول للدول
and we say
الأوروبية
to
في الغرب
European countries in the
ونقول
West,
للكل في كل
we say to
العالم
everyone in the world,
لا
there is no
مشكلة
problem for you to
عليكم
traverse and
بالمرور
pass through the
والعبور
Red
بالبحر
Sea.
الأحمر. المستهدف
The only targets
فقط
exclusively
وبشكل
are
حصري
ships linked to
السفن
Israel.
المرتبطة بإسرائيل.
And that is what they had to say. USA Today is reporting this very well, as they always do. The strikes represent a significant escalation from the U.S. involvement in the Middle East amid Israel's war on Gaza. They followed 27th Houthi attacks since late November earlier yesterday. In recent weeks, the Pentagon has also attacked Iran-backed militants in Iraq and Syria who have targeted U.S. troops with rocket attacks. Quote, today, at my direction, U.S. military forces, together with the United Kingdom and with support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada, and the Netherlands, successfully conducted strikes against a number of targets in Yemen used by Houthi rebels to endanger freedom of navigation in one of the world's most vital waterways. This from President Joe Biden. The president said the response of the international community to the Houthi attacks has been united and resolute. The governments of Australia, Bahrain, Canada, Denmark, Germany, Netherlands, New Zealand, Republic of Korea, and the United Kingdom issued a statement shortly after the U.S.-led airstrikes pledging solidarity alongside the U.S. The Biden administration has sought to contain fighting in the Middle East to Gaza, but Iran-backed groups throughout the region have increased their attacks. These strikes are in direct response to unprecedented Houthi attacks against international maritime vessels in the Red Sea, including the use of anti-ship ballistic missiles for the first time in history. This, according to President Biden. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who has been hospitalized since January 1st, approved the strikes from Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, according to one official. Austin, whose delay in disclosing his cancer diagnosis and hospitalization has drawn heavy bipartisan criticism, was deeply involved in planning the Thursday attack. This, according to a senior defense official who was not authorized to speak publicly. Austin spoke twice with President Biden in recent days about planning for the attack, along with consulting senior military officers, according to the official. Austin gave the order yesterday to U.S. CENTCOM, that's Central Command, to launch the strikes and monitored them in real time. Today's strikes targeted sites associated with the Houthi unmanned aerial vehicle, ballistic and cruise missile attacks, and coastal radar with air surveillance capabilities, said Austin. The United States maintains its right to self-defense, and if necessary, we will take follow-on actions to protect U.S. forces. This is good news. This is something that needed to happen. I'm glad that the Biden administration and that the Defense Department decided to take on the Houthi rebels. This is something they need to be aware of. The Houthi rebels, of course, will make a brave noise. But the simple case of the matter is they cannot cope with the technical warfare capabilities of the allies, including the United States of America. They simply can't cope with it. And I suppose that yesterday's attack was more of a calling card, if you will. 5 Houthi rebels apparently have been lost in that attack. And that means that it was a measured response. I suppose that if the Houthis decide to continue their threats and escalate this beyond where it is right this very moment, or continue the attacks at all, that they will suffer a much more difficult counterattack. It's about time. These people just don't get to do whatever it is that they want to do based on the fact that they want to support Palestinians or anybody else. You just don't get to do these things. It's not something that you can say all you want to, that every other country except for those people sending ships to Israel are completely safe to use the Red Sea. It's not your sea. It's not yours. Those are international waterways. You don't get to interdict shipping in international waterways because you have a beef with somebody sending a ship to Israel. You simply don't. Once again, I think that people who attack, rape, torture, kidnap, murder peaceful neighbors across some border somewhere are insane criminals, and they should be dealt with as such. I believe that people who want to buy into whatever insanity that happens to be are equally subject to accountability. But beyond a simple analysis of basic fact, I can't find myself in a position where I'm going to just sit on my high horse and say, you are frickin' wrong. Whatever you're doing is up to you. But I got to be perfectly honest with you. The repercussions of your conduct will visit itself or themselves upon you. And that's just as justified as anything that you're thinking about doing. You take a shot at me, I'm going to take a shot at you. That's all there is to it. You take enough shots at me and I will obliterate you. It's not that I have a problem, with any of these people specifically. This is not the jingoistic America saying, screw you. No, this is, hey, if you keep shooting at us, we're going to shoot back. Stop. Oh, by the way, if you keep trying to kill Jews or damage Jews, we're going to shoot at you. So stop. It's simple as that. It's very straightforward. You don't get to behave this way on the world stage. You will not be allowed to work this way on the world stage. You will not be able to inhibit the world from the business of humanity simply because you got a problem with Israel. If you want to have a problem with Israel, that's fine. I would suggest that you moderate your conduct against Israel, because if we don't obliterate you, they most certainly will. You better chill out, because Israel is not going to take much more of this, and they will simply solve the problem. And you don't want that, Houthis. You don't want that, Iran. You don't. You simply do not. Now, the interesting thing about this is that Russia and Iran and, oh yeah, the Democrat Party are all upset with President Biden for making this decision. House Democrats are frustrated with the Biden administration for striking Houthi positions in Yemen without congressional approval. Quote, the president needs to come to Congress before launching a strike against the Houthis in Yemen and involving us in another Middle East conflict, said Ro Khanna. He's the Democrat from California. He wrote this on X, by the way. That is Article 1 of the Constitution. I will stand up for that regardless of whether a Democrat or Republican is in the White House, he added. That's fine. Act on your conscience. That's perfectly fine. But you are now in league with Russia, Iran, and a whole bunch of other pro-Palestinian terrorists. Mr. Khanna, don't get me wrong. And once again, you certainly are welcome to your own opinion, and you're welcome to say whatever it is that you want to. But you know, we impeached a president for this theoretical collusion with Russia. Okay? And we're all very concerned about possible collusion with Iran. Why are you buying into that, Mr. Representative? Now, I realize that that's probably not something that actually ties together, at least in a real world scenario. But in a political world, and the way we've seen the left and Democrats hang all kinds of ridiculous things on Republicans by conflating different subjects, I feel that that's justified. I'm hoping you can pick up on the sarcasm. You're colluding with the Russians, Mr. Khanna. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Of course, it's only Russian collusion if you're, well, a Republican. President Biden announced in a statement the U.S. led a coordinated strike in Yemen with the UK and support from Canada, Australia, and Bahrain. He said the targets were used by Houthi rebels to endanger freedom of navigation in one of the world's most vital waterways. Oh, the squad weighed in. Member Representative Rashida Tlaib and Missouri Democrat Cori Bush joined the chorus of criticism aimed at Biden for not seeking congressional approval. Oh, yeah, here we go. At POTUS is violating Article 1 of the Constitution by carrying out airstrikes in Yemen without congressional approval. The American people are tired of endless war. Yeah, okay, well, we're tired of endless baloney politics, too, Representative Tlaib. And since you never saw any Israeli that you didn't want to harm, you're upset that somebody harming Israelis was then harmed. That puts you in league with Iran and Russia. More Iranian and Russia collusion for another Democrat. Isn't that amazing at how all this stuff ties together? This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. What do you think? Give us a call. 817-379-2172. Mikey, what are you doing, man? I'm not even going to read that, okay? This is the Wells Report. We'll be back with more coming up in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Good morning. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. The world, and specifically the United States, Canada, Great Britain, other countries, at war with Houthis, finally. And a lot of people are very upset about that. Russians, Iranians, leftist Democrats, essentially the same group of people that have always been anti-Jewish bigots. And apparently that extends to South Africa as well. So the International World Court at The Hague heard arguments from South Africa regarding Israel's supposed intent to commit genocide in the Gaza Strip. Israeli leaders expressed outrage yesterday at being accused of genocide. That's the same crime that's been haunting the Jewish people since the foundation of Israel and thousands of years before. And so here we have South Africa trying to take a piece out of Israel in what is a feckless, ridiculous, totally toothless, useless anti-Israel international court, the world court at The Hague. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's foolishness. Okay, so here's the case as preached by South Africa. More than 23,000 Palestinians have been killed, 1.9 million displaced by Israel's military campaign that followed the October 7th Hamas attacks on Israel border communities. First of all, we don't know that 23,000 Palestinians have been killed. I am sure that far too many Palestinians have been killed. But it's really, really hard to sort the wheat from the chaff when it comes to trying to figure out just exactly who these innocent Palestinians are. Who are these people? They seem to be willing to stand with Hamas through thin and thick, up to and including getting their houses bombed and their children killed. I don't understand it. So if they're not members of Hamas, then what are they doing? Now, there have been some Palestinians that have gathered up their family and left. Good. I suppose those are the innocent Palestinians we're talking about. Now, that's not to say that I'm discounting the casualties among the Palestinian people. I am not. All I'm saying is that when you wage war against Israel and Israel takes you up on it, bad things are going to happen. You know, you just can't kill over 1,200 Israelis without getting your butts kicked. You just can't. Oh, by the way, the 240 plus that were taken hostage, also not a good idea. So Tembeka Nkukaitobi, who's representing South Africa in the World Court, said Israel has a genocidal intent against Palestine in Gaza. The intent to destroy Gaza has been nurtured at the highest levels of state. For his part, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel simply said, we're not at war with Palestinians, we're at war with Hamas terrorists, to be specific. But since Hamas terrorists hide between the various schools and hospitals and mosques of their own people, it's kind of hard to attack them without, well, collateral damage. Now, there have been some Palestinians that have said, you know, you guys brought this on us. What are you doing? And that conversation needs to get louder and louder and louder. Problem with it is anybody that says those kinds of things usually gets shot. Now, you might listen to me and say, good gosh, that pro-Israeli Zionist guy, blah, blah, blah. Once again, I don't have personal animus against Palestinians. I have personal animus against terrorists. I have personal animus against people who support terrorists. And I know a terrorist when I see one. When you go across a border somewhere and kill 1,200 people just because they go to a different church than you, that's terrorism. That's all there is to it. And I got to be perfectly honest with you, you're going to get yourself obliterated. You keep doing it, you're going to get yourself obliterated. Stop it. You can't blame Israel for defending itself. Oh, you can, and maybe you can get even South Africa to buy in. All I can tell you is that anti-Jewish bigotry is so widespread in these incredible nations of the world that it's kind of hard to find a nation that isn't totally and completely in absolute disgust of Jews. And that'll get you killed. This is the Wells Report.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
Good morning. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. Telephone number 817-379-2172. While we are on the road of reporting surprising military intervention, the Texas National Guard has seized control of a park in the U.S. southern border, is now blocking Border Patrol from entering that area. This being reported by Fox News. This, according to the state of Texas, is part of an effort to stop the surge of illegal immigration into Texas and a move likely to significantly increase tensions between Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the federal government. The state government has taken control of Shelby Park in the city of Eagle Pass, Texas, which has been at the center of the migrant crisis that has engulfed the U.S. border. Authorities have now set up razor wire and fences to block off the area. Eagle Pass Mayor Rolando Salinas said he was informed of the decision that was made as a part of Governor Greg Abbott's emergency declaration. Salinas told reporters it was not something the city had requested, and he said his understanding is the Border Patrol is now not in the area as a result. In a statement, the Texas Military Department said that it has maintained a presence in the park since 2021, including security checkpoints and temporary barriers. Quote, the current posture is to prepare for future illegal immigrant surges and to restrict access to organizations that perpetuate illegal immigrant crossings in the park and the greater Eagle Pass area. The Border Patrol Union confirmed to Fox News the agents were being blocked from entering by Texas soldiers and praised Governor Abbott for taking matters into his own hands. Let me repeat that for you. This is the Border Patrol Union extolling the virtues of Governor Abbott's decision-making regarding closing off this park. Quote, Governor Abbott is not harming Border Patrol operations. He is enhancing them. This, according to National Border Patrol Counsel Brandon Judd in a statement. Quote, his seizing control of Shelby Park allows our agents to deploy to trouble spots that experience higher numbers of gotaways. Governor Abbott's actions should be seen as a force multiplier, unquote. Senior Customs and Border Protection sources later confirmed the Border Patrol is being blocked at 2 areas of operation in Eagle Pass and said that agents pulled resources to avoid a confrontation. It's of no operational law enforcement benefit to try to block federal authorities from being able to do their job, according to this senior official, adding the tactic has no impact on the migrant flow. And now that when Texas is done receiving them, they are still turned over at other locations before adding extra steps, adding extra steps to the process, unquote. Let me talk to you a little bit about that. But before I say anything, I am a member of the Texas State Guard. However, any comment that you hear on this broadcast made by me or anybody else is solely the responsibility of me. This is just my personal opinion. I am not a spokesperson for the Texas Military Department, nor am I a spokesperson for the Texas State Guard. What I'm telling you is that I've served down there. Operation Lone Star started in 2021. I was one of the troops on that mission, and very likely may be on that mission again. And all I can tell you is that I believe that what is happening, that what Governor Greg Abbott is doing is right on the money. In fact, I wish it had happened sooner. Me personally, I wish it had happened sooner, and I'd be more than happy to take my part in making that plan come to fruition. This is something that needs to happen. But let's take a look at some of the things being said. All right? Senior Customs and Border Protection sources confirmed the Border Patrol is being blocked at 2 areas of operation in Eagle Pass, and that agents pulled resources to avoid a confrontation. There is a statement that you have not heard because you haven't been down on that mission or served as a member of the military or the Texas Department of Public Safety or police officers or Border Patrol agents. What we say down there is one team, one fight. One team, one fight. There is no way that there would be confrontations between any of those forces, at least on the ground, at least from a standpoint of rank and file people operating on that border. This Senior Customs and Border Protection source is, he is somebody that is best described by another term used on the border: a flaming jackass. If this guy is a Senior Customs and Border Protection source, okay, if he's actually in command someplace in Customs and Border Protection, he doesn't have any idea what's happening on the mission. Every single one of us down there, every single one worked together as if our lives depended on it. Our country depends on it. Our state depends on it. So that's something you need to keep in mind. So this source continues to say it's of no operational or law enforcement benefit to try to block federal authorities from being able to do their job. Okay, let's talk a little bit about that. There are people that will say that when the federal government occupies an area of a given state, that occupied area becomes an enclave of the federal government. We in Texas have a different idea. You have to understand these federal authorities, CBP, all these federal guys, keep cutting through the razor wire put on the border by the National Guard and the government of Texas. They keep opening these things up. The military force down there from the Texas National Guard keeps setting all this stuff up, and CBP keeps sabotaging it. And they say that the reason they can do it is because, well, basically we're occupying the land, so it's ours. Oh, okay. Well, it seems to me that what you're doing is facilitating unimpeded illegal immigration into the United States, and that is a government policy. Well, you see, this isn't the Federal Republic of America. This is the United States of America. In other words, the states make up America. We have our own laws. We have our own ways of doing things. And when the federal government violates the compact as written in the Constitution of the United States and the precepts of federalism in the first place, the state of Texas will defend itself. And that's what's happening. And by the way, I have to note this. Have you noticed that Arizona hasn't done it? Have you noticed that California hasn't done it? New Mexico doesn't really have to worry about it, but just have you noticed that Texas is the only state that's ever done this? You know why? Because we have the stones to do it. Because we're Texas. Here in Texas, we know what's right and what's wrong, and we don't need politicians to try to twist it into some kind of a logical pretzel for the sake of their politics. We just don't put up with it. We simply don't. And neither should anybody else in these United States. There is reporting on this. Let's take a look at this report regarding this particular story as the Texas military forces have taken over Shelby Park in Eagle Pass. Take a look.
Texas has taken control of a park in Eagle Pass against that city's wishes. The mayor there says DPS took control of Shelby Park right on the Rio Grande, citing a state disaster declaration in order to prevent migrants from crossing the river. Second, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed new paperwork with the U.S. Supreme Court in the fight over the state's razor wire on the border. The Biden administration is asking the High Court to let Border Patrol officers take it down because it's interfering with federal law. But today, Paxton responded, saying the feds are simply ignoring other court rulings that have sided with the state. And that third story, new criticism of the governor tonight over a recent comment he made saying Texas is doing everything it can to protect the border, except shooting migrants. The governor said that last Friday on the Dana Lash radio show, while the two were talking about the legal fights between Texas and the Biden administration.
We are deploying every tool and strategy that we possibly can. The only thing that we're not doing is we're not shooting people who come across the border because, of course, the Biden administration would charge us with murder.
The chair of the Texas Democrats issued a statement tonight. It reads in part, quote, "Time and time again, Greg Abbott and Texas Republicans have made it abundantly clear they have no morality or humanity. This bloodthirsty approach to governance is dangerous not only for migrants and Texans of color, but for our entire state." End quote. KVUE has reached out to the governor's office for a comment. We have not heard back.
That kind of race baiting garbage by Mr. Hinojosa is totally, completely inappropriate and conflates an awful lot of things. First of all, we have no problem with our Mexican and other ethnic groups here in the United States, or excuse me, here in Texas. Good heavens to Betsy. You know, they used to call us Texians. I mean, we've been dealing with Mexico as a matter of societal, civilized interactions for over a century. And let's make this abundantly plain. The issue we have are with people coming to the state of Texas illegally. That's the issue. And oh, by the way, I have to point something else out. He said, Texas Governor Greg Abbott said, we are not shooting people at the border. We are not shooting people at the border. Therefore, there is no bloodthirsty anything. But to try to throw that up against the fence is divisive. It's hateful. It makes absolutely no contribution to the conversation. Zero. This is somebody who is working abundantly hard to make absolutely absolutely possible this onslaught of people from the poverty classes of Central America, from Mexico, and as we found out, from China, from Afghanistan, from all over the place. We're importing the poverty class of the entire world, and that is not the mission of the United States of America. That's absolutely not the case. And it still bugs me just to the point of real concern that the people coming across the border aren't fathers and mothers and nuclear families. They're all military-aged men. What are those guys going to do? What are they going to do? You know, I happen to remember, in 2020, the last year of the Trump administration, coming up to an election year. Suddenly there were a whole bunch of people wandering through cities in America, burning things and looting things and killing people and beating up people and trying to blind police officers with lasers, trying to set police stations on fire, setting a federal building on fire. Did the people that actually sent those thugs out, the BLM thugs, the Antifa thugs, all those thugs, those people, do they believe they just didn't have enough people to get the job done? Is that why they're importing all these military-age males? I'm just asking a question. If there's somebody out there with the guts to answer it, my telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. I have noticed that whenever the left doesn't get its way, the temper tantrum includes sending out the thugs. Happened in 1968. Happened again in 2020. Is it going to happen again in 2024? All because these juvenile socialist nutbags don't appreciate the fact that the American people won't agree with them in their socialist delirium. Is that really what's going on here? There are millions of them here. There are millions of people here, military-age males, that have no legal standing in this nation. What are they doing here? As a matter of fact, what are they doing right now? What are they learning? Where are they getting their money? What are they spending their money on? What are they up to? Do you have any idea? Me neither. Me neither. And all this idea from the federal government to get money for the border, to help out things on the border, not to shut down the border, but to process the people that are coming here illegally. Excuse me? It doesn't cost a whole lot of money to shut down the border except for the international ports of entry. It just doesn't cost that much money. You just have endless patrols of the border in Texas. Somebody tries to cut down the fence. We arrest them. Or we have the Mexican government arrest them. And if the Mexican government doesn't want to play ball like they haven't played ball with the importation of fentanyl into these United States, we'll close the international ports of entry. Oh, we'll let Americans go down. We'll let Americans go through, but we won't let anybody from Mexico come in. And I bet you that would stop that ridiculous little problem immediately, don't you? I know this is a small gesture. Shelby Park and Eagle Pass. It's a good first move. It's a good tap on the shoulder for the federal government. But we're not California. This is Texas. We handle our own business here. And if you get in the way, we'll just move you out of the way. No matter what you try to do. How about that? This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. We got more to talk about, and we will do exactly that coming up in just a couple of minutes right here on the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Our telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. So, Will Carlos is reporting in USA Today. Paramilitary groups are illegal in 50 states. Will a new federal law stop them? Exchanges where customers can convert cryptocurrency into dollars and cents are hosting white supremacists and neo-Nazis, and most have no policies against extremists using their services. By the way, in case you're wondering, neither does Bank of America. Anyway, let's move on. Meanwhile, a new bill proposed by congressional Democrats seeks to make militia activity illegal nationwide. And a look at some controversial statistics from the Anti-Defamation League. The USA Today story this week looks at the exclusive report from the Anti-Defamation League shedding new light on the use of cryptocurrency exchanges by domestic extremists, including neo-Nazis. The report, which tracked more than $140,000 in extremist financing. My God, $140,000? I'm sorry, was it $67 billion we sent to Ukraine? I'm sorry, I'm just trying to keep the numbers straight. The questions are, why don't these cryptocurrency exchanges have stronger policies against hosting extremists? So the ADL monitored 15 individual domestic extremists and extremist groups moving cryptocurrency into or out of 22 different crypto exchanges throughout 2023. Exchanges allow holders of cryptocurrency to trade it with other people and exchange it for traditional currency, like US dollars. The report claims that only one of the exchanges in the study had a politically explicitly explicit law prohibiting funding of hate or extremism. It called on exchanges to update their policies. Now, that has to do with the basic financing of all of this, but Democrats in Congress are debating the future of a regulatory environment for those. Now, legislation proposed in the House and Senate by Democrats seek to outlaw paramilitary activity, including patrolling and drilling. The federal law would add to state laws against groups often described as militias. The Preventing Private Paramilitary Activity Act was proposed by Senator Ed Markey. He's from Massachusetts, of the Communist Marquies of Massachusetts. Anyway, Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland is also involved in that, another noted anti-American, at least in my view. Militia-style groups played an outsized role on January 6th. Stuart Rhodes, who founded the Oath Keeper, was found guilty of seditious conspiracy for the attack, along with 4 co-defendants. Numerous other members of the Oath Keepers and other groups have been charged in the insurrection. All 50 states technically have laws on the books outlawing citizen-run groups that engage in law enforcement or other activities reserved for government agencies, but those laws are seldom used in prosecution. Mary McCord, executive director of the Institute for Constitutional Advocacy and Protection at Georgetown, said in a statement that private paramilitary actions are a threat to the democracy. Well, obviously, she doesn't know the Constitution or anything about the Constitution. That couldn't be easily blown out of the water. Any argument that she might have would be blown out of the water simply by reading Federalist number 29. Alexander Hamilton wrote it. He talks about the fact that the best way to defend the United States is through state militias. He talks about the fact the federal government should not be the only entity in the United States that can use force. And he, of course, is brilliantly correct. The people of the United States have the right to bear arms. They have the right to defend themselves, particularly and especially against an overarching government that would seek to, pass a law that makes people coming together for their mutual defense illegal. I wonder what Teddy Roosevelt would think about this law. Teddy Roosevelt famously was the commander-in-chief of the Rough Riders, which was a citizens' militia. You know, San Juan Hill. Yeah, that's the way that all works. That's part of American history. Here in Texas, farmers decided that what they would do is they would come together as a militia to defend themselves from hostiles. Stephen F. Austin was their first commander. And that's exactly what they did. Of course, this law would make that illegal as well. And what happens when the federal government is responsible for the collective defense of the United States? What happens is not much. Not much. Yeah, the federal government really has blown it when it comes to that. And my goodness gracious, what do you say? Why do you say that? 9/11 ring a bell? They sure blew that, didn't they? See, what happens is that when you wait for government authority to save you, you end up dying, giving rise to the popular statement, when seconds count, police are only minutes away. No, I'm sorry. People who want to go out and form themselves into a militia have absolutely no quarrel with the federal government at any given moment. And by the way, when we're talking about that well-regulated, regulated in that particular context of language does not mean with all kinds of laws hanging over all of these people, et cetera, like Democrats are trying to pass now. It means well-trained. Means well-trained. In other words, military officials come together with these private militias and train them once or twice a year. That's the way the government and that's the way the country is built. And Democrats, strangely, are trying to tear that down. Isn't that strange? Hour number 1 in the books, hour 2 next. Stay right there.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning for the Wells Report, and make sure you share us with all your friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Patreon, and don't forget to check out our Substack column, which will be coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. When you do all this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us those thumbs up. They are really important. Check the notification box so you know when we're on the air, and whatever you do, join us every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, for the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. You're saying to yourself, okay, what's the Wells Report? The Wells Report is a broadcast of news. We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. In short, we de-propagandize the mainstream media, leaving facts and truth. We do the best we can. We make commentary. That's not news. Commentary is opinion, yours and mine, and so we debate. News analysis, commentary, and debate. You can find us all over the place. We are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on X. We're on Twitch. That's the audio version. In case you happen to be driving someplace, you can go to Twitch and you can listen to the Wells Report. It's the audio version. And then what you can also do is you can go to Rumble and Patreon. We broadcast live on Rumble every day. In fact, I just got a very cool thing. Let me see if I can find it. It was one of the, I was just talking about how wonderful it was to live in the future. And that's because I just got a note that I think it's Rocker64 or something like that just found us on Rumble. Good to have you here, Rock. Thanks very much for being a part of our broadcast. Vivek Ramaswamy is a guy who is self-funding his run for the presidency of the United States. He is someone, very much like Donald Trump, who has never run for public office anywhere at any time for any reason, and he's starting his political career by running for the presidency. At a recent Vivek Ramaswamy event in Iowa, a woman took him to task for that. We're going to play that for you coming up in just a couple of moments. But Vivek Ramaswamy was not on the CNN debate between Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley. But that doesn't mean he didn't have some kind of input on the actual debate itself. In fact, since he didn't qualify for the debate, he put an ad that ran in television markets all across Iowa that said, you know what? All these people that are running are owned by other people. In other words, special influence is making these people and their political career and presidential aspirations possible. And so what he ended up doing was he ended up putting a commercial on the air during the debate. And here is that commercial.
I'm Vivek Ramaswamy, and I approve this message. The mainstream media is trying to rig the Iowa GOP caucus in favor of the corporate candidates who they can control. Don't fall for their trick. They don't want you to hear from me about the truth of what really happened on January 6th, the truth about the COVID origin, the Hunter Biden laptop story, and everything else they have lied to you about. So you can fix that. Take your remote and turn this off.
Yeah, he just said, turn this off, except there's another word in there, and it begins with S, and it's famous. So Vivek Ramaswamy talking to his constituency, millennials, Generation Y, and doing a really good job of it. Now, I have noticed that Vivek Ramaswamy has not had the kind of coverage that he should. And as we are very, very interested in making sure that there is fair coverage of people with the guts to run for public office, we decided what we'd do is we'd play a significant piece of Vivek Ramaswamy's event, one of the events he had in Iowa. And a woman, after a very lengthy predicate, finally asked him a question about whether or not he was qualified for public office, including the presidency.
A few years ago, we all saw firsthand the disastrous results when a ruthless capitalist, a scam artist, a showman, and a liar with no public service experience became the president of the United States. And yet we are here again. My fellow New Hampshire residents are being manipulated by showmen and Trump wannabes to win our votes. Mr. Ramaswamy, you may be a millionaire and you may know how to avoid paying taxes by incorporating companies in Bermuda, but let's talk about your lack of job qualifications. You're not qualified to become the principal of my children's school of only 1,000 students. You're not qualified to be the select board of my town with a population of 16,000 people. And you're definitely not qualified to run for the highest office of our nation to govern 330 million Americans. Spewing nonsensical, fast-talking, empty words interspersed with name-dropping Thomas Jefferson and George Washington should not be misconstrued as knowledgeable. We Americans should stop thinking that rich men who fund their campaigns and manipulate us into thinking that they're smart or savvy are qualified for the presidency, to receive the codes to launch nuclear weapons, and to become the commander-in-chief of our military forces. Yes, it's coming. Mr. Ramaswamy, if we American voters, thank you, it's coming.
We'll let her finish. We'll give her a chance to finish.
Thank you.
Mr. Answer the question mark, though.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, you will. If we American voters keep supporting self-promoting showmen who treat the US presidency or vice presidency as an entry-level position, then we, the American people, are to blame for the destruction of our democratic institutions. Please, your thoughts, Don.
Thank you. What do I hear embedded in that question? There's a fundamental skepticism of somebody who comes from outside and take as an entry-level job. That was what was in your question, which I think is a valid criticism. An entry-level job to be the US president. Let me just share with you one of my learnings in this campaign. We have an imperfect system right now, and you all face imperfect choices in that system. We were talking about this backstage. What was the number one learning for me? This is a super PAC puppet game. It's my number one learning coming in from the outside. You're told that candidates actually run campaigns that you fund by giving $35 contributions. Nonsense. The system is funded by not multimillionaires, multi-billionaires who use politicians in both parties, Democrat and Republican Party, as their puppets. The super PACs are a cancer on our system. So if you want to break that system, and I'll tell you, it's a law of nature. It's like a law of physics. As the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, every politician dances to the tune of their biggest donor. It's just a fact. Now, in my case, it is true that that biggest donor is me. Now, do I want a system in which only people who have had the level of success that I've had in the world of business and the American dream are the ones who are able to run for president? No. But is that better than a system where it's somebody else's billionaire puppet that's on that debate stage that actually is just uttering words handed to them by a billionaire-provided super PAC? Yes, I think that's better. And I think if we're going to address the corruption in Washington, D.C., the corruption of people, and there are other candidates in this race that fit this description, making millions of dollars off of connections in government service, afterwards, lobbying in a career using government connections. This is corruption that exists in both parties. Then yes, I do think it will take an outsider to that system coming in to break that system. One of the things that I think we need to stop apologizing for in this country is the power of capitalism. I have succeeded not in government, and I will not feign having government experience that I don't have. But the people who do have government experience, in some ways, got us into the mess that we're in today. So I think we live in a moment where it will take an outsider, someone who comes from the outside, ideally even someone who comes from the next generation, to reach the next generation of whom we have so many in this room today. I think it will take somebody whose best days, I hope, are still yet ahead in life to see a country whose best days are still yet ahead in life. And I'm not name dropping when I mention Thomas Jefferson. These are people I look up to as our founding fathers. He was 33 years old when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. I'm an old man by comparison. He invented the swivel chair while he was at it. That's the founding spirit we need to revive in this country. And in this particular moment, yes, I do think it will take an outsider to do it. Yes, I do think it will take an outsider to address our national debt. $33 trillion. We need a CEO in the White House. How does a CEO run a business? How have I run the businesses I've run? Zero-based budgeting. Don't start with last year's budget as the baseline, because last year's budget was broken by the same existing political class. And last year's budget was based on the previous year's budget, which was equally broken by the same corrupt special interest system. So I say break that system. Start with zero as the baseline, and then ask what's actually necessary. You're not going to get that type of leadership from somebody who comes from, I think, within that broken system. So you're right, you do face a choice. As I shared with Nancy earlier, if you want somebody who's going to incrementally reform the bureaucracy, and the administrative state, I'm not your candidate. If you want somebody who has government experience as their qualification to be your next president, then I'm not your candidate. But if you want somebody who comes from the outside, a patriot who speaks the truth, uncaptured by the super PACs, willing to get in there and actually gut that shadow government, the corrupt swamp in Washington, D.C., but actually see the job through as a leader from a different generation to reach the next generation, then yes, I am your candidate.
That's Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, Mr. Ramaswamy is a guy who takes these questions head on, and that impresses me. I don't know whether you realized it or not, but that woman ran through this amazing predicate of the things that we've seen regarding Donald Trump, and she had her political biases against President Trump and against this idea of an outsider being a part of the presidential candidacy and even the White House. But he addressed every single one of the points she brought up in her question. Every single one. That level of intellectual capability is incredibly impressive. This is one sharp, razor-focused, intelligent man. And I dare say that that is exactly a predicate for the presidency of the United States. It was truly impressive. It was an amazing answer. One time I was doing the Wells Report. People who have been with the broadcast for a long time probably remember the time, I guess it was 2016. And what I decided to do as a part of the broadcast was run for president. I'm now officially a presidential candidate. I will absolutely answer any of your questions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I like Vivek Ramaswamy. I like Donald Trump. Never ran for public office. Never did. Probably never will. But I took questions for an hour. One right after another, right after another. And at the end of it, people said, how come you're not running for president? And is it because I'm some sort of razor sharp dude with an incredible intellect, blah, 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 blah? No. No, I'm an American patriot. And I am not handcuffed to the very issues that Vivek Ramaswamy is saying in this answer. I'm not owned by anybody. So I can speak the truth. And I just spoke the truth. As I saw it at the time. I just spoke the truth. And that is the advantage that Vivek Ramaswamy has. He's just speaking the truth. And he's really, really good. Should he be the president of the United States? I don't know. Is he the millennial / Generation Y Trump of his age? Maybe. Maybe. But are the points that he's making absolutely dead on? Well, that's up to you to decide. Somebody said, who is this woman that gets to decide whether Vivek Ramaswamy is qualified or not? Well, she's an American voter. And she does get to decide. And she does get to ask her questions. And she does get to put these people on the spot. So I wanted to give some coverage to Vivek Ramaswamy. I got to call him on the phone and get him on the air with me. Wonder if he'd do it. You think he'd do it? Telephone number 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. This is the Wells Report. Back with more in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. I'm John David Wells. How you doing? It's Friday. When this one's done, we get to have a weekend. I certainly hope yours is restful and fun and joyous. We are watching with great interest the stylings of American government. And there are a couple of stories out there that you ought to be aware of. We were just listening to Vivek Ramaswamy talk about the fact that our government is $34 trillion in debt. And he sort of equivocated when he said that some of the people in Washington, D.C. are responsible for that kind of irresponsibility. They're not true. Everybody's responsible in there, in Washington, D.C. And we do need an outsider to clean it up because these people are handcuffed to the system that continues to provide us with unsustainable national debt. The House voted on Thursday to spend a little bit of time talking about, or they didn't vote on this, the Freedom Caucus itself is attempting to get Speaker Johnson to back away from the latest funding deal that would add an unbelievable horse-choking gob of money to the American debt. And I got to tell you, it's all to theoretically get rid of the shutdown. USA Today reports it like this. Speaker Mike Johnson, he is the Republican from Louisiana, facing intense pressure from the House's most conservative lawmakers to back out of a spending agreement he struck with Democrats to avert a government shutdown. A group of ultra-conservative GOP members met with Johnson and his deputies in his office on Thursday. Listen to this. And unlike previous closed-door meetings, nobody left the speaker's suite frustrated with Republican leaders. This is being reported by USA Today. Instead, lawmakers told reporters Johnson is considering a new path that differs from the spending deal announced just days ago. Quote, "We're having thoughtful conversations about funding options and priorities. We had a cross-section of members today. We'll continue to have cross-sections of members in, and while all those conversations are going on, I've made no commitments," Johnson said outside his office. He did not comment when asked by USA Today Tuesday evening whether he was renegotiating the deal. However, the path forward for lawmakers to keep the government funded is murky. Democrats control the Senate and the White House. Not clear what Republicans could leverage to win the policy priorities and spending cuts they hope to deliver. Well, funding for Ukraine ought to do. There was 100% consensus in the room with everyone in the meeting that while the speaker and with the speaker, by the way, let me try this one more time. There's 100% consensus in the room with everyone that was meeting with the speaker that the current deal is terrible for the country, terrible for the Republican conference. This, according to Representative Bob Good, he is the Republican from Virginia. He's the chair of the hard-right House Freedom Caucus. Asked whether he would choose between a shutdown and bipartisan spending deal, Representative Matt Gaetz said, quote, "I think the Schumer deal is a road to perdition. I don't favor that over almost anything," unquote. And then over the weekend, Johnson and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer announced they had agreed to a $1.66 trillion spending deal to complete the 2024 fiscal year, which technically began in October. Lawmakers have already kicked the can down the road twice, opting for temporary funding agreements instead of a long-term compromise. And so now the conservatives are saying, I'm sorry, we don't like that deal. It's terrible. And apparently the Republican caucus is indeed united in knowing that this is terrible. By the way, that other story that I was talking about having to do with the House is that the Republican House has voted down a bill that would allow all these charging stations, 500,000 charging stations, to be built with equipment and components made elsewhere than America. Yeah, the entire thing was to waive the Buy America requirements for taxpayer-funded electric vehicle charging stations. The vote was 209 to 198. The resolution reversed the president's action with two House Democrats, Jared Golden of Maine and Donald Davis of North Carolina, joining the Republicans for the vote. Good for them. Good for them. You just got to ask yourself, if there's not a whole bunch of opportunity purchased and paid for by the Chinese with Joe Biden, why is it that he's doing so many good things for China? That's interesting. Back with more in a moment.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report, specifically for Friday, January 12th, year of our Lord, 2024. Grays. Lizard people. The parlance of unidentified flying objects and the people therein. We've been noticing in the last, 10 years or so, more and more of these stories about these unidentified aerial phenomena, right? Because unidentified flying objects, I guess, needed an update, so they turned it into unidentified aerial phenomena. People are saying, are those UAFs? No, they're UAPs because PH phenomena. Never mind. So there's been another one. This one is from a while ago. I believe it's somewhere, I don't know, 2018, something like that. There was an unidentified aerial phenomena seen in a video flying over a U.S. operations base in Iraq. It's been officially named the Jellyfish. This, according to Jeremy Corbell, who is somebody who follows UAPs a lot. He shared the, quote, raw footage of the October 2018 sighting, so it was 2018, on his YouTube channel earlier this week, Tuesday. The video appears to show the jellyfish-like object flying over a military base at a consistent speed and moving in one direction. Corbell said the vehicle was filmed over the Persian Gulf at night on an undisclosed day and time. First of all, it was not filmed. It was videoed. We don't use film anymore. We just don't. When was the last time you took out your very expensive Nikon film camera and took a picture? It's like, hasn't happened in 20 years. There's no film. It's all video. There's not even videotape. Tape is gone. No, it's all about memory, hardwired memory video. So anyway, Corbell said the vehicle was filmed over the Persian Gulf at night on an undisclosed day and time. The video that you're about to see is actually captured by a FLIR, forward-looking infrared, FLIR. Corbell has reported on UFOs for years, said the object moved through a sensitive military installation over a body of water where it eventually submerged. After about 17 minutes, Corbell said the UAP reemerged from the water and flew suddenly at a speed far more rapid than what technology could capture on camera. So how did he know it happened? Anyway, this UAP of unknown origin displayed transmedium capability. This according to Corbell. The origin, intent, and capability of the anomalous aerial vehicle remains unknown. So, you're saying you have this raw video? Yeah, I got this raw video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it for you. I want you to take a look at this and tell me what you think. Call me on the telephone, 817-379-2172. Mike Renwee says, did it identify as a transmedium? Mike, shh. Okay, I don't mean that really. I just think that's very funny. So here's the UAP video. I hope you like it. Okay, so right there. All right. You see that? Oh, wait, you don't, because I took it off the air because I'm kind of dumb. All right, so there it is right there. It looks like somebody flying a jetpack. Okay? Looks like somebody flying a jetpack. Now, it just flies around. It's not a smudge on the camera lens. All right? It is not. That is something that's moving independently of the actual lens. I've watched it several times at this point. And it sort of looks like somebody flying a jetpack. Now, you're saying, but wait a minute, it sort of looks like a robot. It looks mechanical and so on and so forth. Remember, this is not video, okay? Okay, let's see. So you're seeing something different than what I'm seeing. All right. But anyway, this is, you can see it right there in your picture. You know, it's changing its temperature. Remember, infrared looks at heat. Now you see it's very dark there, right? You see it's very, very dark there, but it gets lighter as time goes, like in this picture. You'll also notice that there are people walking around that apparently don't see it. And regardless of the noise that you just heard on this video, not only can you not see it, but apparently they couldn't hear it either because they weren't looking up trying to figure out what it was. Because it's not at a very high level. It's certainly only about 100 2,550 feet off the ground. And that's a wild guess because we don't know exactly what size it is. All right. So Mike says it's Nomad. I am Nomad from the old Star Trek series. No, it's not Nomad because it hasn't sterilized anything. So why am I doing this? Anyway, so that is the video in question that I thought you'd like to see. And so there are a lot of people that are looking at this and going, okay, so what's the exact story of this particular video? Well, it's hard to explain. I suspect, and this is something that I can't really explain. And normally when I come up with these kinds of things, I say, does this sound real or do I have a black helicopter flying around in my pants right now? I believe that the science of camouflage has come, light years. And I do believe that there is technology that we deal with on a regular basis by observation or by any other kinds of things that we deal with pretty much every day. And or every few days. And we don't know what they are. And we just sort of say, okay, well, what's the story there? What's the story? What is this? What is that? Et cetera, et cetera. Well, we just don't know. And so, consequently, we guess. And without any real knowledge, we say to ourselves, okay, something weird must be going on. Not necessarily. That's a jet flying over my house. See? See, I'm sitting there saying, you're laughing at me saying, is there a black helicopter flying around in my pants right now? That was an F-35. I recognize the sound. Flying right over my house. They know what I'm talking about. The they. Not to be confused with the them. Different people. If they're people. They could be AI. Let's move on. So the flying object known as the jellyfish is a UAP of unknown origin. The UAP displayed what they called a positive lift. So it might have been a Playtex bra. By the way, I like Bally ones the best, not for my own personal use, but, I'm married to a female. And never mind. The force holds an aircraft in the air without typical aerodynamic means for lift and thrust, according to Corbell. The signatures normally associated with propulsion were absent. USA Today reached out to the Federal Aviation Administration, Corbell, for comment. Corbell also shared a still from a video on Thursday showing a film object called the Chandelier UAP. He said the image of the vehicle was taken over the Persian Gulf in an undisclosed day and time using thermographic technology. This vehicle is of unknown origin, has no conventional flight control surfaces. It seems to be very much like something that is propelled through the air by virtue of axial propulsion. In other words, there's something that points down that keeps it going up, and there's something in back that keeps it moving forward, probably something forward that moves it back when you have to slow down, etc. And so Corbell said more information on the UAP sightings can be found in his 3-part UFO Revolution docuseries. It's available for free on Tubi, Tubi. Okay? And I don't know whether you have that or not, so Tubi or not Tubi. The simple case of the matter is this. I believe that there is government technology, and considering the circumstances that these sightings appear over U.S. military bases and the bases of our allies, I would suspect that this technology is in the hands of the United States and our allies. Now, why are we spending so much money on, say, for example, military aircraft propelled by different means? In other words, means that we're more associated with, like the F-35 that just flew over my house. That's a jet engine. Obviously, this thing's not being flown by a jet. Although, if you can hear that sound, let me try playing this video one more time because I want you to hear the sound that this thing makes. And I'll give this to you. I had like a small little video problem, but here is that one more time. Let me see if it'll stick with us this time. Okay, see? Hear that? since it was kind of jerky last time. See, it looks very much like the killer droid in the first edition or the first film of Star Wars. Yeah, on the planet Hoth. It looks a lot like that. But you'll note that it's just floating through. It is clearly not a smudge because it's moving independently of the lens. Now, this was captured from what is supposedly a balloon. And obviously there's nobody on the balloon. The balloon is used for surveillance. But you can see that the camera is moving independently of the object. So it's not a smudge on the lens. And like I said, what you see, the light areas are cold and the warm areas in this picture are pictured as black. All right. So it looks like video. I mean, it looks like typical optical video, but it's not. That's how good FLIR is getting, by the way. The resolution is amazing. See those people? People just walking by, not even bothering to look up. I don't think they can see it. Moreover, I don't think they can hear it. But obviously, we can. I'm also very good at video and photographic interpretation. So what I can tell you is that obviously this thing is powered by one of those weird little Honeywell fans that you can buy at Walmart. Hear it? That's the exact sound. Yeah. Okay, that's not the case. That's just silliness. You'll also notice something else. Remember, this is forward-looking infrared. You notice that the temperature of the object is changing. It's getting colder, therefore it's getting lighter, and then it'll get warmer, and therefore it'll get darker. I know that seems counterintuitive, but that's the way FLIR works. You can look at it as hot being black or hot being white. You can switch between the two depending on which one gives you better resolution. So like I'm saying, what was it doing? Don't know. Don't have any idea. Why was it flying over the base? Don't have any idea. But you'll notice that I don't believe anybody could see it, which means nobody had it on radar. Nobody could see it visually. The only way you could see it was through a FLIR, an infrared. So if you can't hear it, you can't see it. And the only way you can see it is by virtue of the fact that you have a different way of looking at it. In other words, the actual image is visible through non-ocular means. Tells you that that's pretty impressive. Now, whatever happened before or after the video, who cares? You know, Corbell can sit there and say, yes, then it went in the ocean. Then it popped out and flew away faster than anyone could possibly imagine, faster than even a camera could follow it. I'm sitting there going, well, since cameras these days are probably a lot faster than our eyes, that means we couldn't have seen it. So how would you have been able to see it? That's what I would ask him if he was sitting here. So what I'm suggesting is I'm suggesting that we have technology that is very, very secret. And we have to be very, very quiet about it. Apparently, that's the way that is. Yeah. Mike says it's a drone with a cloaking device. Yeah, that's possible. That's possible. I've seen videos that apparently bend light around an object. You've seen them too, I'm pretty sure. And people say, well, that's probably some new kind of camouflage. Well, it could also be essentially the distortion of light by heat waves coming off the ground. So it's easy to explain, but that's not. That is not easy to explain. I'd really like to have one of those government guys that's detailed to explain the unexplainable. Sit there and go, well, you know, that swamp gas that was reflected off light from Venus? Yeah, no. That's not going to fly either. But that thing does. So who's flying it? Doesn't look like it was seeing much. I mean, it was just going over a bunch of nondescript buildings. So what's flying around? Got any idea? Yeah, like watching the water mirages at a hot highway. Yeah. Yeah, you can lose objects in that thermal sheen. Okay, those Mirages. So what do you think? I don't know, but there's something flying around over there. What do you suppose it is? And who do you suppose is flying it? This is the Wells Report. Back with more in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. I've been a broadcaster since 1975. 50 years ago. 50 years ago. Man. And people say, my goodness, where is the time gone? Well, it's been so traumatic for me, this broadcasting career of mine. I remember every single day. It's gone by like molasses in Antarctica. Anyway, I have worked for and worked with the most brilliantly talented people anywhere in this country. Broadcasters they pursue an intellectual craft that is just so arcane and so difficult. And I would have never had the success I had and have as a broadcaster if it wasn't for the fact that I worked for such amazing, brilliant people. And I've been inspired by so many other talented people. You know, Dirk Steele, for example, Steve Craig, Machine Gun Kelly out of Los Angeles. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of people. John Rickards Landecker, Jan Jeffries, the great Jay Stevens. And so I've been able to be exposed to amazing talent. One of those amazing talents was a guy named Rush Limbaugh, who was born January 12th, 1951. He changed the industry. He paved the way for this amazing, at that time, the first amazing generation of people that actually were empowered by Rush to tell it the way it is, to speak plainly. And he was breathlessly, amazingly, exuberantly brilliant at it. This is a piece from his television show, which is a show that I wish he had never stopped doing, from a while back, as given to us by Fox News about Rush Limbaugh. Listen to this.
Because I'm wearing these ribbons. I care more than any of you about anything. And these ribbons say so. I want you people sitting at home and you people in the audience, look down at your lapel right now. I want you to do this. Put the camera back on me. Do this. When you look down, what do you see? You don't see anything because you're not wearing any ribbons. It means you're a bigot. It means you're a racist. It means you're a sexist. It means you're a homophobe. It probably means you're a white guy. It probably means you're a European, and you alone are responsible for all the ills of America. But I'm not, because I'm wearing these ribbons. I care more than you.
That's a great Rush Limbaugh. So I, like many other people in this craft, spent a lot of time listening to Rush Limbaugh until he started talking about the Rush Echo Syndrome, which was where Rush would say something so brilliant that people would repeat it, usually without attribution. And I caught myself doing it a few times, and so I made the decision to stop listening to Rush, probably after about 7-8 years of doing the Wells Report, which started on September 11th, 2001. We did and do different things. I broadcast the news, and I analyze it for truth, fact, and I point out bias. Rush, on the other hand, lampooned the hypocrisy that we are immersed in, saturated with, just about everywhere in this nation. He was brilliant at it. He was really, really good. Literally poking holes in what was mostly leftist hypocrisy. Don't make no mistake. There's plenty of right-wing hypocrisy. But Rush was a solid Republican. I am not a Republican. I'm an American patriot. I believe in the Constitution. And I believe that the Constitution is being assailed by the media and the left, which brings us into contact and brings us into resonance with Rush. But I didn't get to listen to about the last 15 years of his broadcast because I didn't want his thoughts in my head. And so I missed an awful lot of Rush at his very zenith of broadcasting brilliance. But that being said, I would hear about him. The mainstream media would report on him and the things that he had to say. And they did everything they possibly could to ruin him. And he kept moving through it because of the amazing legion of listeners that he had so carefully crafted over the decades that he did the Rush Limbaugh Show. While I certainly don't have the same number of people, I have people that listen to this broadcast or watch this broadcast every day in the thousands or 10,000s. And I am beyond humbled. And so was Rush Limbaugh. You know, he was kind of bombastic, and he would put himself out there as if he was the greatest human being on the planet and so on and so forth. But Rush was a lot more humble than people think. Rush was doing his job. And in that, it's another resonance that I share with him. Rush Limbaugh, born on this day in history, January 12th, 1951. Everybody dies of something. Rush Limbaugh died of lung cancer. But one thing is for certain. He died too soon. I wish he was still with us. How about you? This has been the Wells Report. It's been a week of Wells Reports. Kind of like this week. We did some good stuff. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. God bless you and yours. Be safe. Make good decisions. And whatever you do, make sure you join us Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time for another edition of The Wells Report. Have a great weekend. And just like that, we've come to the end of another work week, another worky weeky. Don't ask me where that stuff comes from. I have no idea. But gosh, God bless all of y'all. Thanks for coming. And make sure that whatever you do, make sure that you are safe. And we'll see you again on Monday. All right. Until then, God bless you and yours. Take care.